Hey everyone, it is Monday again. Sabrina and I just filmed like a ton of videos. I just wanted to film the first video or the introduction to the vlog for this week on Monday, because otherwise, if I don't start off well, it's going to be hard to keep the momentum going later. To explain what the reads are for this week, I started Name of the Wind yesterday, and I am about like a third of the way through. It is like a longer book, so I'm not like quite sure how long it will take me to finish it, but I most likely will finish 3 books total. So the main one that I wanted to read this week is Daisy Jones and the Six, which I am supposed to be reading because my friends have already read it. And even though I put it out like on a library hold list like months ago, it still has not come in. And of course, I'm like the last person to read this book out of everyone, and I feel bad that I'm holding everyone up. So I will be reading this like as soon as I finish The Name of the Wind. And I have heard good things. I feel like it's like not a genre that I read normally. This author has written like a ton of books recently that are like all kind of like book club hits. So I'm excited to have read something by her. And my friends who have read it said that it's really good. So, and interesting, entertaining. So, excited to read that one. Other book that I have that I'm excited to read is Beautiful World, Where Are You? Which I actually haven't read any Sally Rooney books. I did like watch the Hulu series for like normal people. And as a person who enjoys like a friends to lovers trope, I feel like I could not understand like why they were thinking that they couldn't be together. Like I feel like it didn't feel insurmountable to me, and so I don't know. It was hard. It was hard for me to like watch it and be like, I don't understand like what's keeping them apart. So point being, I feel like I wanted to start reading a book that was not that one. Just because I feel like in terms of the plot, I wanted to kind of like start from scratch if it was going to be like my first book of hers. But I do think I'm going to like her as an author, just because I do tend to like books that are like about relationships and about like the quieter aspects like of relationships. So there's like kind of like a lot to unpack, a lot that's like not being said, but like is very clear to like the reader. So I'm excited, and I hope to get to this. So those are my books for the week. As I said, I am currently like a third of the way through The Name of the Wind. I am liking it. It's definitely like picking up in terms of, you know, like the last time I was filming, like last week's vlog, I had just gotten to the part where he was just starting to tell a story. Whereas like now, he's already like a teenager, in like time period. So I feel like it's going to be like start picking up. I feel like I'm on the part where it's going to start picking up and like really getting into the heart of, I don't know, like what he's telling all of his stories about. So I'm excited for that. And since the pace has been slower, I'm excited for it to get a little bit faster and see what's going on. So yeah, it is getting late, so I'm not sure how much more reading I'll get done today. But we'll see. Hey, so it's Thursday morning, pre-work. I'm realizing that, like, I guess in the beginning of the week, I just, like, don't have a lot of time to read, which I didn't really notice before, but now that I've been, like, trying to film every day and then realizing that it's really not worth it because I've only read, like, I don't know, 50 pages since the last time I've talked to you all. But yeah, I think it's like the way that my schedule works. Sabrina and I like try and film in the beginning of the week, and then I'm always trying to like edit like after I finish work, and like that takes like a lot of time. And then as a result, like I just don't really end up starting to read until like the evening. And then it's just like depending on like how long I can stay up like while also laying down and reading. So I'm finally making good progress. I think I'm like 3/4 of the way done The Name of the Wind. It started to like pick up a little bit last night, but it's like still pretty slow. And like I'm not sure how I feel about it, honestly. I think I was expecting it to be more engrossing than it is. Just because I've like only heard good things about this book. And I'm still like not sure. I'm still not sure if it's for me. It is picking up a little bit. Like there's a few more characters now, which I think is like kind of helping it. So like some new people have been introduced. And he is finally like starting to get more information about like the people who killed his parents. Well, not people, the things that killed his parents like in the beginning. So he's like finally starting to get teased about like getting a little bit more information. It's like a very incremental process. So I'm thinking that might be kind of like a good trigger to like move things along. But yeah, overall, it's just taking me a long time. And I feel like I was just expecting it to be a little bit more engrossing. So still hanging in there. I have, as I said, I think I have like 25% left or so. So hopefully I'll finish that today and then I can start like my next book. And I'll have like more coherent thoughts about in general, like what I thought about everything. But yeah. Okay, I have worked on a little bit, so I'm gonna squeeze a little bit more reading and then I will get back to you all with my thoughts. Morning, everyone. So it is Friday morning. Yay. Yesterday I finished The Name of the Wind. It actually was like much better than I was fearing that it was gonna be. I feel like it definitely took me like at least about halfway through before I kind of like even really liked where it was going. Otherwise it was like kind of dragging and taking a long time to like set up. There wasn't really enough going on or enough to like intrigue me as to like what was happening. I started to kind of move along. He like gets I don't know, like kind of like a love interest, which for me definitely like helped make things like more interesting. It was just like one more thing kind of like going for it, just because the conflict of like him being at school was just like not interesting enough. Like there wasn't enough going on, and there was like a lot of I don't know things conspiring against him. Which, like, I understand, but at the same time, it kind of, like, gets old when there's, like, I don't know, like, a lot of conflict that, like, he is just like, oh, it's just, like, happening to me, I don't know, like, you know, I don't know how to fix it, it just must be me, so I feel like that was kind of, like, getting to me, but once, this, like, love interest was introduced, things started to, I don't know, like, there was a lot more, like, dialogue, and it just kind of like added some interest and it kind of like humanized him a little bit because it was something that he like wasn't able to control, and I think that is also important. But yeah, actually maybe that was it, because it was like everything that was happening to him, he was presenting himself as like an expert that was like able to get out of things, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, from being like an actor, like in a traveling troupe, from living on the streets for 3 years, like all of this stuff, he was able to just kind of like work or like talk his way out of, or like smooth talk his way out of. And like the one thing that he's kind of like a fish out of water with is like talking to girls. Cause I mean, he's still supposed to be like 15 or 16. So, I mean, like understandable, but it was nice to see him floundering a little bit. And it made him like more, it made him more likable and more humble, I think. Just because it was kind of like annoying how he was just able to like get out of everything. So anyways, I did like it. I don't know if I quite understand the hype surrounding it, especially since it's kind of like lauded as like one of the like classic medieval fantasies that like you like kind of like everyone reads. So I'm not sure if I understand that part of it, but I will definitely read the second one just to see like, you know, what's going on. it didn't leave like on, it didn't end like on like a super cliffhanger. Things were like kind of wrapped up enough, but it's very clear like that, you know, he said it was going to take him 3 days to finish the story. 1 day has been concluded, and you know, there will be 2 more days. Even though there's only 1 more book. It's my reaction to that. And to try something new, I got this like fun thing from Amazon that I saw in like one of those like BuzzFeed lists that I thought would be really fun. So basically it is like talking cards, but for like a book chat. And I thought I would use like one of them as like a prompt every time I finished a book. So this one says, I just pulled one out, and it says, how does this book compare to others in its genre? And I would say, well, I guess I was kind of just talking about this, but I think that I'm not quite sure why this is considered like to be one of the most famous like classic medieval fantasies, just because I don't know, like I'm just not sure that it is that. I think the writing was good, the dialogue was good. I think the characters, they're limited characters, and they're not really all that complex. I think like, I don't know, so far, you know, he has like a mysterious teacher, like he has like a couple friends who are like barely in it. He has this girl who's like, you know, like very beautiful, but like doesn't want to be tied down, like kind of situation. She's probably like the most complex character. So it's definitely like, I guess, plot driven as opposed to character driven. And then I don't know, I feel like it had a lot of similarities to the book I just finished, which is like The Assassin's Apprentice, where like this kid, you know, is basically, it's just a story of like him kind of growing up. I feel like I was kind of expecting the writing to blow me away, and it didn't really. It just seemed kind of average. Compelling, but, you know, compelling and good, but not like a standout. So I was kind of surprised by that. I was expecting it to be like a little more artistic, I guess, kind of like artsy, intriguing, taking risks, dramatic, like that kind of thing, and it wasn't. So that was really good. So that's my take, my hot take. Okay, and then I also started Daisy Jones and the Six last night, which was going to be my next book, and I'm loving this. Okay, so I got like, you'll see, I don't know, over a third of the way through. I think it's like 300 pages or so. So it's kind of like, it's a pretty short book. This one is artsy and I love it. So basically, this story is following, it's kind of set up like a bunch of interviews, and it's following the story of a supposedly real life rock band from the 70s. So like during that whole like time period where it reminds me so much of the movie like Almost Famous, but it's more about the character, or like it's more about the band as opposed to like the groupies. But like the whole vibe is like exactly the same. The cover kind of even looks like it. Hot take. And it is, but it's really, really good. The writing is done as if it was like a bunch of interviews. So it will tell like the person's name and then like give what they say, and then it will intersperse like another interview, like as if you were watching like a documentary, and they're kind of like pushing all the interviews together. So the interviews are conversational, or like each person is like reacting to, you know, like the same question, and they have like different takes on it, or it's like, you know, the interviewer is like prompting each person saying like, oh well, this person said this, and then they're like, oh no, that's not how it was, or whatever. And it's just like so good. Okay, very character driven in comparison to the last one. But yeah, it's so the story of these two brothers that started a band, and over time it morphed into, there's actually 2 sets of brothers in it now, I think, and a keyboardist and then like another person, another friend, and they're now called the Six. And they had one breakout album that like did really well, and the lead singer kind of like took a nosedive in terms of like his personal life, and he was like, you know, living the hard life, and decided to, or he kind of like got it together because he had like a wife and like a kid on the way. So then once the baby is born, they are kind of like, I don't know, they're more floundering. They, you know, like he wanted to write love songs instead of like getting the girl, like, you know, like the drugs and rock and roll, like songbook. So he's kind of like starting in like a new direction. He's like the leader of the band. So everyone's kind of like deferring to him. And there is this girl who is like extremely pretty and like charismatic. And she's a groupie. But she like all she wants to do is like write songs. And so she gets like a contract because she's actually like a fairly decent singer. She's like kind of not into it, like the record deal at first, because she wants to just write her own stuff. But at the same time, like she needs to like play the game in order to like do what she wants to do eventually, because it's like no one even knows who she is aside from like the actual crowd. Like in the clubs in LA. She basically gets recommended to be a duet, like to be the other vocalist in a duet that the Sixes decided to turn one of their songs into. And it becomes like a smash hit because like the chemistry between like the 2 lead singers and like the way she added, or like her spin on the vocals, like made the song like way more complex and like intriguing. And as a result, like now they've kind of been thrown together and are like touring. And of course, like there's definitely some romantic tensions, and it's just like really cool to see like all the dynamics that are like represented in like the band. But it's just like I think the story is not like new. Like it's not anything new. However, like the writing in this is so compelling and like really, really interesting and very good. It's just like so layered. And it's like funny. There is like, you know, cutting remarks and like sarcasm and I don't know, like a little snide like snippets that just kind of like take you right into like the time period, which is like really cool. So very much enjoying it, and I mean like I might finish this today. So anyways, that's just to say that concluding my pre-work Friday morning, I have my coffee, and I will do a small bit of reading, and it's going really well, and I'll check in soon. Hey, I finished this Daisy Jones and the Six, and it was so good. I loved the style of it. They were like taking a risk, but it like totally paid off. And the characters were like really complex, particularly like, I don't know, main like 5 of them or so. And it was just really cool to watch it all unfold, like through interview style. And it was like very immersive of how, I don't know, very immersive of like the historical time period. So you felt like you were like there and kind of swept up in the drama of it all. But it was good. It had like a great ending. And I overall like really liked it so much more than I was expecting to. And I read this with a couple of my friends as well, so we're going to have some nice book chats. My last friend is just finishing it now, so we should know soon. But I'm excited to discuss it with them as well. I'm gonna do one of my little questions. All right. So it is, which character would you least like to be? I think in this instance, I would probably, I don't want to get like too spoilery, but I probably would not want to be like the lead singer of the band, whose name is like Billy Dunn. I think because it just seems like he's in like, I don't know, he's just in a really like difficult spot, and there's not really like, I don't know if there's anything he could have done differently in order to like make it better, but at the same time it was still miserable. And so I think, yeah, it would probably be the hardest to be him. Plus like a lot of responsibility, like being like the main person. But I don't know, overall I thought he was like a strong character, which it didn't seem like he was going to be painted that way in the beginning, like the first like, I don't know, little bit. My next up book is Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I'm excited to start it. It'll be my first Sally Rooney book, and I'm excited to dive in. Okay, so I'm like halfway through this book, and I'm like really liking it. I'm seeing like why she's like so popular as an author, and I don't know, it's just like, it's very quiet and like subtle. She doesn't use like quotation marks, which I don't know if is like a thing or if it's just in this book. But that took me like a little while to like get used to, because it's weird because like the dialogue just ends up being in like one paragraph and like kind of like mixed up, so you have to like pay close attention to it. But I think my favorite part about it is some of the chapters are just like long like emails between two of the characters, which I also really like, because it reminds me of like my friend and I like writing letters back and forth, like even though we like see each other, and it's just like cool because they end up being like very tangential, and just kind of like, I don't know, just like extra things that you write about, like when you're trying to like make a letter more than just catching up, because it's like you already do that, and so like the whole reason of like writing a letter is it's more, it has to be more than that, otherwise there's no point. I haven't read something like this in a while. All right, so I did finish Beautiful World, Where Are You? Very late at night. Today is Monday. But I did stay up late to finish this last night, and it was just really good. It was really, really good. As I mentioned, like this is my first like Sally Rooney novel, and that being said, like I do understand the hype, because I really liked it. It was like just complex enough where there is like enough underlayer to like make it interesting, but like not in an obnoxious way. And it's like there are some like stylistic choices that like are a little on the artsy side. Like you can tell that they're there like for a reason, because the author is like making a statement, and like I enjoy them. I think that it was like done very well, and there's just like so many questions that are brought up about, I don't know, like friendship, groups of three, like friends who like are attracted to each other, and also like I feel like a lot of the question of like relationships and like like sometimes like thinking that like you need your friends like more than they need you, a lot of like the depression of like being like a newly 30-something-year-old and like not realizing or like not feeling like you have it figured out. I don't know, it was just really, really well done. That being said, like out of all of her books, I feel like this was the one in terms of plot that seemed the most like something I would like just because I know myself. So, like, I'm not sure if that means I'm gonna like love her other books as well. I think this was just like the perfect plot. and therefore like a perfect way for me to like ease in and like, you know, have like a great first experience with her. And the question that I got is, what does this book have to say about forgiveness? I know, okay, so I don't want to like spoil anything, obviously, but I would say a lot of this book kind of centered around understanding like the people who you're close to, and trying to expect what they're able to give you as opposed to like what you like need for your own validation. Disclaimer. Disclaimer. I think that like it is important to understand like your own boundaries and like what you need from a situation. But I also think when you're in relationships with people, both friendship and romantic, familial, anything, it's like you want to make sure that you're able to fulfill your needs while also like not expecting something from someone that they're like not able to give you. And so it's a lot of like coming to terms with that and like having peace with like what is actually physically possible in terms of like other people. But yes, so that's what it has to say about forgiveness, I'd say. So it's not necessarily forgiving people, but just like coming to terms with what it is to be expected, or what's a valid expectation to have like on other people who you know very well as well. Like these are people who have been in their lives for like, you know, 10 years or in some cases their whole lives, and understanding like how coming to terms with like how they express themselves and how they express like emotion, etc. So yeah, I didn't want to be too spoilery, but that was the best that I can do. So that concludes my reading this week. Overall, very successful. I enjoyed like everything I read this week, which I love, and excited for next week. Thanks for coming along. All right, say goodnight, Gretel.